Hello, hello. Welcome to the Plant-Based Podcast. I am your host, Robertaalowe, Chef Robertaalowe, and I am excited that you have joined us here today. My guest today is one of a kind, is Cynthia Smith. She is actually not necessarily an expert, but she has followed the alkaline diet based around Dr. Sebi's teaching, and that's how she transitioned over to becoming vegan. She found it to be very helpful for her. So she's going to be our guest today, giving us some phenomenal information about alkaline and how her experience was personally really on that alkaline diet and following Dr. Sebi's teachings, which we all know he is one of the great, or was one of the great alkaline body, health, mind, and spirit teachers of our generation. Of course, I'm excited with her here. And so right after our sponsorship, we will be talking to Cynthia Smith. Today's episode is really brought to us by VegBox, a fast casual vegan restaurant located in Baltimore, Maryland. Their website is www.vegboxmd.com, and you can check out their menu there. If you're in the Baltimore area, definitely actually reach out to them and get some of their delicious foods. Their menu range from grain bowls, sliders, tacos, salads, soups, even desserts. And so you really have it all, especially for lunch. And so you want to check them out because they're doing big things. They're moving in a great direction and you want to be on board. Make sure you check them out at vegboxmd.com or follow them on all of their social medias at vegboxmd, and you won't be disappointed with the food. Check out the reviews. Now, let's get into today's episode. Hello, Cynthia. How are you today?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. I'm so glad that you approved to be a guest on our podcast today. And I'm excited to learn more about your journey and to teach the others who's actually listening about your journey. And so tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you get started on the alkaline diet? What made you go towards that direction? And what made you choose Dr. Sebi as the person that you were going to learn from?
Well, when it came to just overall thinking about being healthy, it was after I watched a few documentaries, like one that comes to my mind immediately was Food Inc. I watched that like back in 2012, and it really had me to be a lot more conscious about food and how the animals were treated when it came to chemicals that were being put into the animals and things of that nature. Although right then I didn't change immediately, it just kind of flipped a switch, and then it was like, once that switch was flipped, then because once you're on this trail of information, you keep on that trail, right? And so it was like, all right, so I got that, and I was just learning more, and I was like, man, well, what else are they hiding from us, And so then it was, I joined some different groups about natural healing and herbs and things like that, and then that's how I found out about Dr. Sebi. Listen, I'm probably not saying it correctly, but we know who we're talking about.
We know who he is. That's right.
And so I found his group of people, and I started watching his videos and stuff, and it really intrigued me, And I was seeing other people sharing their stories on weight loss, on clear skin, on different high blood pressure and different things being, lowered down. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to do it this way. And so one day I used to be an avid couponer. Okay. So anybody out there know about couponing? You're going to coupon to get a bunch of processed junk food. Okay. That's the easiest thing to get when you coupon. So I literally had stockpiles of junk food. And I was like, you know what? I put a post on Facebook. I was like, I'm giving away food because I didn't want to just throw it away. I was like, somebody can use this, even though it's unhealthy now in my mind. I was just like, I don't want to throw it away. So I changed my whole house to where we was alkaline. And let me tell you something. First, we was just eating watermelon every day, okay? Because watermelon is alkaline. And I didn't know what to cook. So we was eating watermelon and just fruit for the first little bit. But then after that, I found different ways to create recipes and foods and got really creative in the kitchen. You know, that was the joy of it all. Just realizing like, wow, I was so lazy cooking before. And
that does help. I'm glad that you mentioned, you know, the documentaries, because that's really which helped transition a whole lot of people with all of these documentaries. And I'm glad that you mentioned the fact that it was just a light bulb that went off. It wasn't like, you know, you watched it and then said, yesterday I'm gonna go vegan. You know, sometimes it doesn't take a process, but really when it really clicks, it clicks at the moment where as though we become aware of what's happening when we bring to our conscious mind. And, you know, I talk about that a lot in my book called Almost Plant-Based, about how change starts when we actually become aware of it, when we actually bring it up to our conscious mind. Because a lot of our actions, not over 90% of our actions are done based upon our non-conscious mind. And our non-conscious mind is just what makes up files and of data that has been downloaded into our brain that we have that we have experienced through over the years. And so we took the information that we've seen or that we heard, that we smelled, that we touched, and then we just compiled it and then put it into like a file in the back of our head. And that's how we operate in. And a lot of the times people don't think that that's how we're, you know, that's related to eating as well. Whereas though we're just eating. We're eating based upon what's around, what's available to us, or what we see that's available to us. We're eating based upon how we were brought up, you know, based upon the regions that we're living in, or the cities, or what's available at the market, again, based upon what our parents have told us or our grandparents have told us. And so all of this information is really in those files that's in the back of our head, that's in our non-conscious mind, that we're operating off of. And so when something like a documentary comes along and really shows us, you know, unlock those memories and then download new memories with new information that allows us to really take control over our eating, that's really something that's amazing. That's when it all starts. And so tell us how your experience was when you decided, okay, this is what I'm gonna do. And you said that y'all started to eat watermelon, which is one of my favorite fruits anyway. Okay, hello. So when you said that, some of our guests probably be like, oh gosh, she ate watermelon every day. But I'm just saying, I can eat watermelon pretty much every day. But tell us so when you move past the step of eating the alkaline watermelon, what other vegetables and fruits did you start to slowly incorporate? And how did that look in a day?
So then, like I said, I really had to get really creative in the kitchen, you know? So I literally went through the list of approved foods. So when it came to the plum tomatoes, I would buy the plum tomatoes in bulk, you know, so I began to make my own spaghetti sauce and pizza sauce with the potatoes and tomatoes and the herbs and things like that. That's when I learned how hot habanero peppers are, because I had no clue. I never had a habanero pepper before in my life. So I cut up the peppers and put it in my sauce, and it was so freaking hot. I was like, oh my God, I didn't know it was this hot. So now I knew if I use it again, I take out the seeds and use the other part. But anyway, I really learned a lot. And I forced my kids. Yep, I forced them. I forced my kids to do it at the same token because I refuse to be cooking 2 or 3 meals and all of this, so I forced them to do it. And even though they didn't stay on the path, one thing I can say that they are very conscious about things that they eat though. So it opened their mind to say that, okay, you know what, if I'm feeling this way, I might need to just have fruit and water for a couple of days so my body can feel better. So that's one thing that I can honestly say that I'm glad that my kids have an advantage of, rather than what I did coming up as a kid. But yeah, and then I joined a bunch of different YouTube channels that show different cookbooks and things like that. Yeah, I don't know if I could say their names or whatever, but yeah, there's a few out there that just had some amazing things, I remember.
Yeah, I have no problem with you saying their names.
Oh, okay,
yeah, because you're helping someone else. Someone else might need that channel to help them along as well. So yeah.
So there's this one called Ty's Conscious Kitchen. I don't know if you ever heard of them, but they've had a lot of different alkaline recipes and things like that really made it a lot easier for me. I learned how to make my own bread using the spelt flour and things like that, just using spelt flour and some, what was it? The Perrier sparkling water. I mean, it was just amazing. I was, and it was just amazing. And it made getting back in the kitchen a lot fun again, because it was just like, okay, I'm trying this, I'm trying that, I'm putting my brain together to mess with this, so it did make it fun. Now, I will admit though, I missed potatoes. I did the burrow bananas and everything, but I missed potatoes. It was just certain vegetables that I totally missed that made it to where I was like, okay, although I really enjoy Alkaline and I see a lot of the benefits in it, it was just certain vegetables that was just calling my name.
I understand, because I did. I realized that I was really dependent on white potatoes, and white potatoes are not good for you, right?
I know.
So I was like, I need to fast from these white potatoes. Now, granted, I did go back to them because, like you, it's just vegetables that you do miss, that because they're just so hearty, and versatile, first of all. And so I knew I was going through like withdrawal the first few days. I was like, oh my gosh. It was so strange that actually happened to me, because I was unaware of how much my body was dependent on eating potatoes every day. And I didn't even know that that's what I was doing. Until and it was just a random day. I was like, today I think I'm gonna stop eating potatoes for like a week or so. And it wasn't like I was feeling any type of way. I just noticed that I think I had some type of potato 2 times in one day. And I was like, okay, this, I might have an addiction. But, so I was like, let me just go ahead and cut this out. And like I said, I went through like withdrawal. Closer to the 5th day, I was actually pretty good. But it also allowed me, this is actually why I stopped. Because potatoes hold weight on you. So white potatoes hold weight on you.
Girl, ain't that right?
And I was like, for some reason, I can't lose a certain amount of pounds. And I was like, it's these daggone potatoes that I'm eating. And I was like, so I cut them out. And now I probably had potatoes maybe like once or twice in the last 2 weeks or so, after I went through that transition, because now I kind of flush my body out, whereas though, I'm not so dependent on those potatoes.
Exactly.
Or the pasta and things of that nature, because I try to do the pasta as well along with the potatoes. So I was really going through a whole crisis, just to let you know.
Yeah.
When I did that. So tell us a few food items that are alkaline, and then tell us a few food items that you were saying of the vegetables that people eat on a daily basis that nobody knows that are not alkaline or that are not real vegetables, you know, as the
right. So one of the things I definitely learned was about, you know, like corn, you know, and how bad corn is for you. And I learned that not only from Dr. Sebi's information, but other documentaries too, how corn is just mainly a sugar and that starch just sticks to you, you know. Even when it comes to collard greens and how harsh they are on the body and everything, and that kale is a lot healthier than the collard green, you know.
Which we eat all the time in the African American community. Collard greens, hello. We eat that all the time. If people are like, and they don't know that that's what, even though it's a, you know, they don't know that that is not necessarily damaging to the body, but it's not really something that you want to eat on a regular basis. You know?
Right, exactly. And just learning about the different types of rice. Like I did learn to enjoy quinoa. I did learn to enjoy black rice, you know. I rarely, even now, even though I don't strictly follow the alkaline diet, I rarely eat pasta. I rarely eat rice. I rarely eat potatoes. But it be times where I want to have it, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, I know how strict people are on verbiage in this realm.
That's right. You better watch what you say. You might come back get you.
You know, like one of the vegan gods is going to get me sometime, you know, but I really can say that since I changed, it seemed like the aging process on myself went in reverse. I can really say that. I look at pictures of me a few years ago beforehand, and then look at pictures now, and I'm like, wow, it helps. It really does help. You know, I don't have issues with high blood pressure or anything like that, you know. I'm glad I made the choice, and I'm glad I opened it up to my household. And even when I have guests over, they know, listen, in my house, you're getting a vegan meal. Okay. Right. That's the rule, you know. And it's a lot of times people will say, oh no, I don't want to try nothing vegan. I tried it before and I didn't like it. And I'm like, hold on, calm down. Don't think that deep into it. It's some vegetables. It's some fruit.
Right.
It's not that hard, you know. And that's the message that I try to get out to people, you know, because they hear the word vegan and it's just like, it's nasty, you know. And it doesn't have to be, because I put a lot of love in my food. And I know other vegan cooks that put a lot of love in their food.
Yeah. And that's it's interesting that you say that, because it's really, how can I put this without these people getting upset? It's really social programming, you know. Yeah. Because if you look at your plate, when you go out to the restaurant, the plates traditionally, when you're making dinner at home, how many pieces of meat are you actually having on your plate compared to a starch and a vegetable, compared to, you know, some fruits or a salad that you're eating? You know, you just put what, an 8 ounce, 10 ounce, maybe even a 12 ounce piece portion on your plate. And so it's really so for people to think in their mind that, oh my gosh, I can't go vegan, or oh my gosh, I can't eat plant-based, or how can you just survive off of vegetables? Really, it's just taking off those 12 ounces of that protein that you have put on your plate. And then now you have like 24 ounces of a vegan plate. Like, you know, protein is just 1/3 of your plate, you know. So the other portion is plant-based, the other portion is vegan, you know. Yeah. So it's interesting how people think in their heads that they can never do something like that, when in reality they're 2/3 of the way there.
Exactly. And I thought it's in the seasoning. It is in the
Yeah.
season. I could take some cauliflower and season that up.
That's
and
right.
you're like, it's gonna remind you of some chicken. I can take some jackfruit and season that up. I mean, I have learned so many different ways that I never would have imagined years ago that I would even attempt to try, to be honest with you.
Yes.
Playing with hearts of palm.
Yes.
I didn't hear about hearts of palm growing up. What the heck is hearts of palm,
Yes.
And now it's like, wow, this is so good. Artichoke, wow, this is so delicious. I didn't never know to eat it this way or anything, So just being able to just open your mind, open your taste buds, start with your favorite vegetables, start with your favorite fruits.
Absolutely.
And then work your way to introducing in other stuff. That's the best way I can say.
Absolutely. That's exactly how I share those steps. You want to start off with, definitely when anyone is transitioning, they really just want to start off with foods that's familiar with them, seasonings that are familiar with them. That way they'll start building up those little wins. They'll start saying, okay, I mastered this, or I won this dish today. So that gives them the encouragement and the momentum to keep on going and to keep on experimenting and to keep on researching and to keep feeling happy about what they're doing. Because if they're feeling miserable or feeling like they're pressured to doing, this transition or to cook or anything of that nature, any negative emotion that they're going to associate with being vegan or plant-based, for that transition, that's not going to be a successful transition. It's going to be a slow, miserable, hard process that's not even going to be sustainable at the end. So,
right.
So I tell people all the time, so that's a great information of what you just mentioned about really, started with the season, started with how the vegetables, and it's great that you mentioned a few of the vegetables, the cauliflower, the jackfruit, the hearts of palm, and all of those, I would say I use all of those today in my cuisine, in my restaurant, everywhere, because those are one of the most go-to items that I actually use especially for transitioning, because you're able to season it however you want to get it that you want.
Yes.
Those are products that actually that allows you, that don't have a distinct taste to them, whereas though you can create the flavor profile that you actually want and want to enjoy. So those are three vegetables or fruits, because the jackfruit is definitely a fruit.
Right.
Those are the three products that is easy for transitioning.
Oh yeah.
So yeah.
And I learned about mushrooms. I'm excited about mushrooms. Like, as a kid, I used to hate Brussels sprouts. Oh my God, it was just certain things I just hated. I was like, oh my God, why is this in front of me? And now it's like, wow, I could do so many things with this, mushrooms. I didn't know that they had so many varieties.
Oh my gosh, it's endless variety of mushrooms. Yes, that we have access to, that's not poisonous, that we can actually consume, So it's over 100 and some mushrooms that we can consume, so is being vegan, I'm sure this is for you as well, but when I actually transitioned over to vegan, it really opened up an eye of just being able to explore, and being a culinary professional for, I was executive chef for over 15 years, and in the hospitality industry for over 20 years. It's like, never would I have imagined being able to, it's like a buffet, an endless store that I can go to and say, oh, I can use this vegetable and I can create it this way. I can do it this way. It's so much variety out there that you can really help. And you don't even have to be a chef to really do that, because I still go down back to the basics. on a lot of my dishes because I'm tired. And so, but still at the same time, now we actually have access to those vegetables. The vegan industry is about to be a $34 billion industry in 5 years or so. So, you have to really, really look at this industry growing. So many products are out there to help people transition over. And it's not something that's no longer considered being hard,
Right.
And back in the day, of course, when we have to make our own products, our own seitan, our own spelt bread, our own everything. Back in the day, those processes do take longer, but now they're even coming out with machines, apparatuses now that help us do it quicker, help us to melt almonds and melt cashews, like any type of nuts or seeds that we're going to eat and things of that nature.
Yes, because I swear, if my Vitamix broke down, I would cry. So, I guess.
Right, because those things, even though you can do them by hand, that machinery is actually helping us save a little bit of time, which is good. So now people that's looking to transition or know that they should transition over to a plant-based or vegan eating lifestyle. Now is really at a point where, so what is your excuse, really?
Yeah.
Have a product that's available to you, that you have access to, whether in your local grocery store, whether it's on the getting it shipped to you from the internet. You have the actual machinery that will help you cut down and save time. You have endless YouTube videos, podcasts, and things of that nature. So you have endless information that's being fed to you or that you have access to. And so really when people are saying that they have this diabetes, heart disease, they have all of these issues, mental and physical issues, but they know in their spirit that if they change their eating, then they can control their mind and their body, and how and the body will heal. Because I always tell people, either your food that you're putting in your body either is going to aid you in a healthy lifestyle, or it's going to aid you in a bad lifestyle, unhealthy lifestyle. And so it's either one or the other. It's not on the fence, So talking about that health aspect, what did you find health benefit wise that improved when you changed your eating based upon what you was going through before you were vegan?
Okay, so I lost a lot of weight. My highest weight, I was at like 210 pounds,
Ooh, me too,
and it became to the point where I didn't recognize myself in the mirror no more, and I was like, okay, I gotta make some changes. I don't want to go to this path of high cholesterol, because I was getting blood work done and I was at the brink of it, and so it was just like, okay, I have to make some changes. So I lost some weight. I noticed clear skin, brighter skin. Like my complexion changed. It was like a light within coming out.
Oh, yeah.
And I was just like, wow, yeah. And even the way my hair would grow, and overall energy. Yeah, I don't regret it at all. And I try to encourage anybody that comes through my path to at least let me cook for you. It's like, here, try it.
Yeah.
And I was trying to make things familiar. I remember when I made my best friend some oyster mushrooms, and I was so excited for her to try these oyster mushrooms. And I didn't tell them it was oyster mushrooms. So I just like, here, try this. And they thought it was chicken nuggets. So I was like, yay,
Hey, that's a win.
Yeah. I was like, oh,
vegan.
I don't want people to think that all vegans are just trying to substitute something and call it meat, because that's something I try not to do totally.
Right.
You know, I want to acknowledge that it is a vegetable, you know. Right. But
yeah,
I just love it. And just having the knowledge and knowing, and I'm totally, before I say this, I'm not trying to offend anybody, but being African American, being healthy is not just for other cultures, you know. We can be healthy too. Absolutely. We could want to eat right too. We could want to exercise too, you know. So yeah, I just had to say that part.
I'm so glad that you say that, because I was actually going to touch on the fact that you're in a southern state. What state are you in?
I'm in North Carolina.
You're in North Carolina. And I know down there, it might not be looked upon as how would I say, looked upon as something that, oh yeah, people would lean more towards of going vegan. You know, they want to barbecue meats, smoked meats, and things of that nature. So how did you find the transition going amongst what your friends or your family would actually say? What would they actually tell you when you transitioned over? You try to eat that rabbit food? That's one of the common ones.
Yeah, that's the one. You trying to eat the rabbit food. You trying to eat like other people that don't look like you. You know, you know, and it's just like, you know, well, what made you want to do this? How can you eat this way? Well, do you still eat fish? I'm like, no, I don't eat fish.
Like, no, I don't. I'm sorry, I don't eat fish either. I mean,
so, I love it at the same token that it's that curiosity, you know, and it's just like, hey, you know what? I understand. You know, we have to understand that the foods that our families and generations it was making the best out of what they had.
Yes,
you know, absolutely. And now that we do have options to eat better in some communities, because some communities are still having food deserts and different situations and whatnot. So that's why it's so good for those that are able to build a community garden to do so. But you know, we have more choices now. We have the access to choose the healthier option. So why not do that, you know?
Yes, we're not in a you know, it's so true, is we're not in a position where as though we're just being tossed anything for us to make a meal out of, you know.
Right.
So now we have to get into a habit of, we're able to choose what we're going to put in our body, and we should choose something that, but again, that really helps our body, aid our body, and cook it in a manner where as though it tastes good and we can still get to its full nutrients out of it to really help us out. So, and I really wanted to mention, you know, the area that you in, because again, in most, you know, down in the southern states, there's a lot of where, you know, a lot of traditional eating is happening.
Everything is about food. Every gathering is about food.
Yes.
And, oh my gosh, I had to get to the point. I'd be like, well, it doesn't have to be surrounded by food, you know. I don't know. But you know, what I do is, you know, when I'm invited, I bring a pasta salad. That's like my safe dish.
Yes, for everyone.
Salad. You know, because you put a bunch of different veggies in there in different colors and some Italian dressing, and boom, usually you can't lose taking pasta salad to the cookout.
Right. Because it's something that people are familiar with. So they'll eat it.
Yeah.
They're the non-meat eaters. So yeah. And you can sneak in all the vegetables that you want as well.
Oh yes, I load it up. I'll put some cucumbers and different colored peppers, olives, artichoke. I'm throwing it all in there. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. So as we're kind of winding up or wrapping up, you know, it's been a great conversation so far, especially from the point of just Alkaline, the point of getting your perspective on there. I did want to touch on a little bit about what was it like for your children to go when you was like, listen, guys, I am not cooking 2 separate meals. I know this was my decision, but you're in my household, so you're going to have to follow these rules.
Okay. So at first it was kind of fun because we were getting in the kitchen together as a family,
Okay.
you know, making different things. It was exciting. Like I said, we started off eating watermelon a lot of different fruit. You know, fruit is sweet, you know. And then we started, you know, learning how to make our own vegan pizza and stuff, and making I didn't realize you could take walnuts and make cheese with walnuts and you know, and all this stuff, you know. And so we were doing all that and a lot of different salads and stuff. And then they came to me. It was like, Mama, we need a meeting. I was like, what is it? And they was like, you know, we appreciate, and it happened after a year. It was a whole year. So I'm thankful for that.
That's year. Pretty good.
Yeah, it was a whole year.
That's
and they was like, listen, if you give us the money for the groceries, we ain't got no money now. You give us the money, we go grocery shopping and we cook our own food. Can we eat our own food? And even within that, it was a good thing because a lot of kids do not realize how expensive food is. Okay.
Yes. This is true. This is true.
So I gave them money and they were realizing they had to put stuff back and they had to figure it out. They had to work together. My daughter, she's an amazing cook. She is 17 years old. She loves asparagus because of us introducing all these different vegetables and stuff, you know. And my son, he's a young black bachelor man, so he's still just, you know, spaghetti and pizza type of situation. But you know, at the end of the day, I was appreciative that they even tried it. It wasn't like this big old fight in the house where I'm not eating nothing until I go back to school tomorrow or something like that, you know. It was a learning. And then what warmed my heart was one day my son told me, he was like, Mom, you know what? My stomach was messed up and I had to just eat apples and drink some water for a couple of days, you know. And that right there let me know that they realized it was things that they had to detox from and what that detox did for their body and things of that nature. So it can be done. It could be done. I think with kids, if you do it at a younger age to where that's kind of all they know, right, it's a lot easier, you know. But you know, it was a big switch for them. And hey, who knows? They may come back to it. I don't know, you know.
Right. I do believe in really allowing people to figure out their own path, what works for them. You know, you can definitely show them tons and tons of ways. And just like what you did with your children, that whole year, I mean, that has been life-changing and that has made a big imprint on them. Whereas though they'll take all those teachings and what they have learned in that year with eating, especially outside.
Making stuff from scratch, not out of a box.
Yeah,
you know, that was the main thing that I really learned from doing Alkaline. It was like, man, everything I've been cooking has been coming out of a can or a box all these years. I really didn't realize it. I really didn't realize it until I did. I started with the Alkaline, and it's like, okay, I gotta make this spaghetti sauce from scratch.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. I gotta boil these tomatoes and peel this skin off the tomatoes and mash them up. I mean, it's a process.
It's a process. And with the process, you know, if more people had to go out there and kill their own animal, first of all, or pick their own vegetable, whatever, if they had to do that every single day just for them to get a meal, they would become vegan real fast.
Oh yeah.
You know, because you'll understand what is happening, you know, you'll be more involved in the process, whereas though you could be conscious about, oh no, you know, this is not what I want to actually do. I have to, you know, the process of actually going out here and on the land. Okay. I'm not talking about in these facilities that have hundreds of animals there, and, you know, the machines are doing all the work. But when you have to do it with your bare hands, that's something that's different. You're going to start appreciating your dinner more and understanding a lot more about your food. And so that allows you to tackle your plate or organize your plate in a way that's conscious, a way that, you know, is actually going to help you out, because you can't go out here hunting and you feeling sluggish, you know. So you can't go out here and in the fields and pick these vegetables and things of that nature and you're feeling sluggish, or you didn't, or your body doesn't have the right nutrients, because the sun will then take over your body or dry it out. You know, you're in the heat all the time and things of that nature. And so dehydration come in and tons of other factors. But I won't go all the way down that road.
Oh, we can talk for hours. I have truly appreciated this time with you. It's like the last thing I want to say that I just take from all of this is like, I can't think of the guy that wrote the book, but it says, eat to live, not live to eat.
Yes, Doctor, I have his book. Where is it? Right here. I'm looking at my book, one of my bookshelves. It's not back there. I have his book, Eat to Live, and not to die.
Yeah, there you go. And oh, look, I didn't rephrase the quote and everything, but I just think about that, you know, and it's like, now we have to really be conscious of what we're putting in our body. And I just thank you so much for having this platform to help teach others. It's so important.
Yes, it's very important. Like I said, there's tons of information out there, and we just have to decide how we're going to utilize that best for our lifestyle, you know. So yes. So thank you so much, Cynthia. Thank you, audience, for actually joining us today on the Plant-Based Kitchen. If you like this episode, definitely give us a thumbs up. Let us know in a comment of what alkaline fruits are your favorite fruits, or what alkaline foods are your favorite foods. And let us know also, what episode would you like to hear next in terms of helping you really transition over to a plant-based diet. All right, till next time, thank you for joining into the Plant-Based Kitchen, and we will see you all again later.
All right, bye.
Bye-bye.